Well guys, we're working on this. Right now I'll show you where I am. I've actually gotten the clutch, this air clutch, I've actually gotten it pulled off. It was pretty simple, just 4 bolts. Pulls out, it's got this little ball socket thing right on the end of it. And it just sits up into there. It just presses on there, that's what presses the clutch back and forth. Pretty simple. That's pretty easy. Pretty much just like a regular clutch, except you just, on a regular clutch, you gotta just take the cable off. So this one has a push deal. The hardest part was getting this this remote grease fitting out of here. Boy, that was a pain in the butt. You had to go way up inside there. You probably could see where that little nipple screws on there, and there's no room to get a wrench up in there. So basically what I did is I used this here, what do they call these things? Crawford? Something like that? Wrenches? And I had to fish it up in there and then turn it like that. Always handy to have those things. But now, I'm just working around it and starting to disconnect stuff. And the wires right here, I gotta start labeling this stuff. This wire is going to be the sensor for the oil for the transmission. So I'll start putting tape and labeling stuff like that. But all these wires are going to have to be removed, pulled away from this transmission. I've already disconnected the lines for the high-low for the transmission. That goes up to the floor right here is your stick shift. Just got to take this bolt out of here, and then this shaft will slide up out of here. When I drop this transmission, I can push this up. And what I'll actually do is I'll take a bungee cord, hook it around the stick shift up inside the truck, and pull up on it, and then pry back here, and this will pop right up off of here. But all these hoses, all this stuff has got to be removed from here. Right here down on the bottom, there goes my heater again. Right here, down on the bottom, this is the speedo. I already disconnected that. And I just got to start pulling all these wires, get everything away from it, so when I pull the transmission away, it's all clean. The only thing that's going to be a problem is right over here is the transmission cooler. You can see it right there. That's a transmission cooler right there. And it's got 2 coolant lines up in the front of it. So I gotta drain the coolant out of here because I'm gonna pull those lines out. It's gonna go everywhere. And I do not want to pull that apart. I want to make sure to keep that connected onto the transmission. There's 2 bolts that hold it onto the side there. I will take those 2 bolts out and move that cooler up so it doesn't hit the side rail when I drop the transmission. But you don't want to disconnect the hoses, because them hoses go down here and they're right there, and you pull those hoses off and all your transmission fluid is going to go underground. So it's just basically cutting, pulling, labeling, just freeing up the transmission. Well guys, we are ready to pull this thing. We got our jack all in here. We got all the bolts all loosened out. I'll show you what some of this stuff is here. This is the yoke. This is the clutch yoke right here. And basically I just have to make sure that this pivots as it comes out, so it doesn't get hung up on the bearing here, the throw-out bearing. And if you guys are ever wondering, it's that right there, that thing that moves right there, is actually your clutch brake. That little thing right there. Basically all it is just a brake pad, and it's around there. And when you depress the clutch, this bearing here is turning, and when you depress the clutch, it presses against there, and this is basically a clutch brake. You know, it's just a brake pad, so it slows it down. That's what it does. But basically, we're just going to be pulling this transmission out and making sure this yoke is going to rotate as we come out of there. And my light just died. Yep. Alright, easiest way to do it. Keep pushing. Just putting even force on it as I push on the transmission jack. Make sure that yoke is just keeps rotating. Oh yeah, she's coming right out. There she is. Well, here is your the insides of it, and right here is your throwout bearing, and you can see this is where your greaser gets hooked up to, the tube that goes up to the front. The remote grease goes right into there. There's a bearing that's in the center of here. That's what it greases. This is your output shaft of your transmission. Right here is your clutch yoke. Basically all that happens is that these forks here go on the back side of these. So you can see these little flat spots on each side. And that hooks behind it. And then when you press the clutch down, it basically just pulls that out, which is connected to the clutch, which pulls the clutch pads apart. And then there is a clutch brake right here. You can see it right there. It's just basically a round metal pad. That's all it is. No leaks on the transmission. That is good. So now we'll drop this transmission and I'll try to push it back somewhere to get it out of the way. And then I got to come in here and remove the clutch, which is this assembly, which is very heavy. Remove the clutch, and then this is the bell housing. That'll be the next step. So we might as well get to it. Well, you guys, we got the tranny out of the way. Now it's time to remove the clutch. Sorry, I was blocking your view there. There we go. There's a clutch. Once again, this here is your flywheel, and this is your pilot bearing. Seems good. Feels good. Flywheel's good too. So it kind of makes me think that the clutch pads are in good shape. if we can see that or not. But see the clutch, these are the clutch pads right here. You can see they're in good shape. They're in very good shape. Feels good. Not even worried about this clutch. It's felt really good to me anyways, so this clutch has always felt good to me. It's just kind of weird clutch because of the air assisted thing, but put that up there for now. Now I gotta pull the flywheel off. Well, time to zip off a flywheel. Hey guys, I'm going to show you guys how to pull a flywheel. There. Basically what you do is take two of the clutch bolts. They actually make something for doing this, but all you do is just take a bolt, next size smaller, cut it off a little short length, because these holes here where the clutch plates bolt on here, clutch assembly bolts onto the flywheel, goes all the way through. So all you do is just take it there. There's an inner piece that's on the crankshaft, and you want to make sure that you have a bolt in here to hold this. And kind of just gets pressed on there. So guys, we are ready to drop this oil pan. Hopefully all the oil is dripped off of the connecting rods, but I'm not counting on it. See how bad it is? Not bad. Not bad at all. I've never seen a plate like that. Looks like we're going to be okay. So now I just have to get out of here with the oil pan. Ouch! Shins into the bumper. Doesn't look like we have too bad of drips. That's not bad. Usually it just sits there and drips, and then you're up underneath there and you just get covered in oil. There you go. there's your crankshaft right here. It's one of the lobes on the crankshaft. Got your connecting rod right up here. Got your main bearings behind there. Main bearing there. This plate that's on here, I've never seen that on the bottom of an engine like that. Usually it's just open. Not really sure what the reasoning is for having that plate there. Because I would actually think that oil splashing around in there would lubricate things better. I don't know. Who knows? They must know. Seems to run. There's your oil pickup right there in front. That's your oil pickup that goes to the oil pump. That pumps the oil all back up into the top of the engine, so it comes back down through and lubricates everything. So now basically what I'm going to be doing is putting a block across here. Put a block right across here and jack this up right here. Put a jack stand underneath here and support the weight of this engine. And then I'm going to have to remove the starter over here because the starter is bolted to the bell housing. I'm not going to try to remove it. I'm just going to try to just take the bolts out and just kind of pull it back maybe a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and just let it sit there. I'm kind of hoping that's what will happen. So I really don't feel like unwiring everything and stuff. I do have the wire cut, or the power cut to the truck. And then basically there's the bolts up there that hold on to the bell housing right here. And then this bell housing comes off. And that's where it's leaking. It's leaking in between the bell housing and the block here. It's bolted up there. You can see all those bolts around. That goes around the block. And so that bolts it to the block. And there's a gasket that's behind there. And so take that apart, clean it up, look at it. Hopefully it's not warped or damage done to it that it's leaking. And I can just clean it up and put it back together with new gaskets and everything. And then put a new seal in there. Okay guys, let's get this bell housing off. I need to get behind here, see if there's any damage to this bell housing. Basically, we've got all these bolts here. There's 2 up on the top. Those all got to come off. But I'm going to take the seal out, get the seal out of here, because it'll come off easier with that. Otherwise, it'll be a lot of prying and everything else. So to do that, I'm going to use a seal puller. Basically, you just put that in there, and then you drill holes. Like so. You gotta excuse the heater. It's got a thermostat on it that kicks on and off. And you just put these self-tapping screws in. I guess they're not self-tapping. Otherwise, why would I Zero pilot holes. Just pull off our bolts. There we go. Feels good. I'll get a little emery cloth and clean that up before I put it back together. But right there is the old seal. Get this thing out of here. Well, so there we go, guys. We got her all apart. Now the cleanup begins. Start cleaning the parts back up and start piecing it all back together, sealing everything back up, get this oil leak stopped. You can see right where it's coming from. It's up in here. It's coming out around here, so the gasket has failed right in there. And it was just leaking all up in this area. And right on top of the bell housing is where all the oil was collected, so that's where it was coming out. So, I hope everyone out there is having themselves a great day, great night, watching this here video. If you are not, I certainly could try it all over again tomorrow. I shall catch you guys later. See ya.